Hi, I'm Anna Hausman from Emerge Pediatric Therapy, and today I want to talk to you about teaching emotional expression and emotional perspective taking through reading. It's one of my favorite ways to teach, and recently have found it to be a really successful strategy for my kiddos over telehealth. And it's something that you can easily incorporate, and it might be something you're already sort of doing. So let's talk about, all the different ways that we can teach emotion and bring awareness to it while we're reading a book. Today, I am going to be talking about how I do this in therapy, but I'm also going to be showing you using some of my daughter's favorite books. So one of our all-time favorites that we'll be reading today, it's missing the dust cover because we ripped those off at home, but is Jabari Jumps. It is the sweetest book. I absolutely love it for so many reasons, but we'll be reading from there along with, there's a bear in my chair, also a super cute book that I love. And as we're going, we'll kind of stop and talk about how can we teach emotional expression. So I'm going to demonstrate what some of my kiddos like to do with me in therapy when they read. We'll go and open to the first page. And on the first page, they'll say, "I'm jumping off the diving board today," Jabari told his dad. "Really?" said his dad. And I have to stop. And I try to keep my language pretty simple and in terms that are easily understood while I'm teaching. And I'll often stop and say, "All right, but where was the attitude? How do we think Jabari is going to be feeling about jumping off the diving board?" And sometimes I'll get responses like, he's going to be scared. I don't think he's excited. I think he's worried. And I cue my kiddos to say, well, let's take a look. Let's look at his face. What do we notice? I notice that his eyebrows are a little bit up. His eyes are not too wide and they're not really squinted. And I look at his mouth. He's smiling. He's got one hand on his hip, one hand holding his dad's. I feel like he's looking pretty excited, pretty confident. This arm right here makes me think confident. This is a great place to talk about body language. We talk about open body language versus closed body language. Open body language is often associated with positive emotions, positive expressions. That could be feet kind of standing at an open stance, arms down by your side, versus closed. Arms are crossed. Your face might kind of close in on itself with closed eyes. You might cross your legs and stamp your feet. So if we look at Jabari, he looks pretty open, and that hand on his hip kind of tells me he's feeling confident. So let's go back. How can we show confidence in our voice? Well, talk to my kiddos about how we can raise our voice or lower our voice in terms of volume or pitch, how deep we make it sound. Jabari's he's a pretty little kid. I'm not gonna make my voice sound super deep, and I think that he might be feeling pretty happy. So I'm gonna change it. And I'm gonna say, "I'm jumping off the diving board today." And did you notice how I put that emphasis on jumping? When I think about the action of jumping, I think like this. I picture people going up and then coming back down. I'm gonna make my voice do the same thing. "I'm jumping off the diving board today." Dad, he's saying, "Really?" And when we ask a question, our voice usually goes up at the end. So instead of saying, "Really?" said Dad, we're gonna add a little bit of inflection up. "Really?" said Dad. All right, you can see how it might take us a while to get through an entire book. You may not do this for every single page, but let's move on. So here goes my kid again. "The diving board was high and maybe a little scary, but Jabari had finished his swimming lessons and passed his swim test, and now he was ready to jump." All right, friends, but where's the attitude? When you are teaching this to your child, Ask them things like, what words did you think were really important in that sentence? I saw the word scary, and I saw past, and I saw ready. Those words carry some emotion for me. Scary is pretty obvious, right? I can think of scared emotions. I finished and passed his swim test. Woo, he's finally done with that. That kind of gives me some relief. That makes me think relief. And then ready, how do you feel when you're ready to do something fun or exciting or new? Does your heart race? Do you get excited? If you feel those things, we might want to try and show that in our voice. So let's try it again. The diving board was high and maybe a little scary, but Jabari had finished his swim lessons and passed his test, and now he was ready to jump. So we've added some emphasis on ready to jump, and he passed his swim test. They were kind of hard, but he did it. All right, and we said maybe a little scary, and we changed our face. And so when you're reading, I encourage you to change your face. If they're talking about something that they're unsure of, maybe. If they're talking about something scary, you might make a scared face. If they're talking about something exciting, then you're gonna raise your eyebrows and raise your voice and show that you're excited. All right, next page. I'm a great jumper, said Jabari, so I'm not scared at all. Now, let's pause for a second and think. Where would you put the emphasis? Where would you put attitude? When I talk about attitude in terms of reading a book with a client, we talk about how attitude can be a positive, it can be a negative, it's just a portrayal of emotion. It's not attitude like sassing or back talking or how you might think of someone who's got an attitude. This is a more general, more broad thought about attitude. So where can I put some emphasis or some attitude into my voice? Well, words that give me some emotional feelings are great. And I'm not scared. That's pretty important. And look, Jabari's body is really giving us a clue about how he's feeling. His hands are open, his knees are bent. It looks like he's already trying to jump off the ground. So let's try it again. I'm a great jumper. I'm not scared at all. So again, he's trying to sound confident and convince himself and his dad that he's ready for this. All right, we'll do one more page in this and then we'll switch over to another book. I wish I could read you this entire book and go on, but for time purposes, we'll move on. All right, so next it says, Jabari watched the other kids climb the long ladder. I like to talk to my kids as we're reading. If you see a word that you can imitate with your voice, let's do it. The word long, we can stretch our voice out to be long. Jabari watched the other kids climb up the long ladder. They walked all the way out to the end of the board as big as tiny bugs. We're talking about something small, so now we're gonna get small and our face is gonna get small. Then they stood on the edge. They spread their arms and bent their knees. Oh, and my voice is starting to get kind of short, but can you feel the emotion behind it? Something's about to happen, right? They spread their arms and bent their knees and sprang up, 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 up. And then they dove down, 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 down. So here we go up, up, up. You don't have to do that with your hand, but you do it with your voice. That's more important than what you're doing with your hands, although hands and gestures do help. And then what happened when we talked about going down? My voice starts to drop down. We go up, 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 and down, down, down. Splash! Right? Those words are really easy and really clear moments when we should be talking about emotion. Splash! Looks easy, Jabari said. But when his dad squeezed his hand, Jabari squeezed back. Right? He's trying to play off some confidence. That's easy. You might ask your kid, if you thought something was easy, how would you say that? have them try it on their own. What I might say and how I might say looks easy is going to be different from yours, and that's okay. We all express emotions differently. So, but then Dad squeezed his hand and Jabari squeezed back because he's a little nervous. So at the end of that, my face kind of scrunched a little bit. So you could go on, I could go on and on about this. But basically we're looking at each word and trying to think, can I put some expression into this? Can my voice mirror what the story is about? If there's a bad guy in a story, can I make my voice low? If there is a child in the story, can I make my voice light and playful? If something's really exciting, can I get loud? Can I make my words really pop? Versus if there's something sad happening, can I drag my words a little bit and my body might match? There's so much to do to play with, and if this is something that doesn't come natural to you, my suggestion would be to go through your child's book ahead of time without them, to really sit down and think and reflect on it. All right, so let's do a little bit more of There's a Bear in My Chair before we go. I love this book. If you haven't seen it, there's the mouse. How do we think the mouse is feeling? He is not thrilled, but look at that bear. He does not care. He is happy as can be. So here's where I might ask, before we even start reading, I might ask my client or I ask my child, what do you notice about the mouse? I am noticing that, let me pull it up here. I'm noticing that his ears are flat instead of up. They're kind of flattened down. I'm noticing that he's pointing and I see his eyes. They're kind of scrunched. His mouth is in a pretty straight line. If I looked at you like this and went, how do you think I might be feeling? Frustrated? Okay, let's think about frustrated as we read this and see if we can show that in our voice and in our attitude. All right, here we go. There's a bear on my chair. Oh, I love this book because they highlight words in different colors and make it bigger. So now when we're looking at this, we're going to be thinking about adding attitude to the words already highlighted for us. He is so big, it's hard to share. There isn't any room to spare. We do not make a happy pair. A mouse and a bear with just one chair. When I give him a nasty glare, he's completely unaware. I don't know what he's doing there, that bear who's sitting in my chair. All right, so again, I'm gonna clue my kiddos. Look at that mouse, he is so frustrated. How would you feel if a big old bear was sitting in your chair? How do you give a nasty glare? What does that look like for you? This is mine. Yours might look different. All right, on this one, our mouse is kind of looking down at his clothes, but we might notice that the language changes a little bit, so our voice is gonna change. I must admit he has some flair. He has fine taste in leisure wear. I'm fond of how he does his hair, but I still wish he was not there. Right, so he compliments the bear. Should our voice stay kind of cranky and frustrated? He's kind of like, oh, well, this bear has some positives, right? He's a pretty stylish bear. So I have to give him that, but I wish he wasn't there. I'll try to tempt him with a pear to lure him from my favorite chair. But he just goes on sitting there. Why won't he go back to his lair? Right here you can see he's trying to be friendly and put on a fake smile, right? He wants to say, ha, bear, come look at my bear. Well, now check out the bear this time and the mouse. How are they doing? Maybe I'll give him a scare. I'll jump out of my underwear. But no, of course. He does not care. That that stinky bear sat on my chair. I understand that bears are rare. I know they need the utmost care. I know all that. I am aware. So here we can say like, oh, well, he doesn't like being told all these things that he already knows. He's still kind of frustrated. I know. How would you tell your mom or your dad something to say, I know, if they're telling you something you already know? Can we put that in our voice? I know they need the utmost care. But still, I cannot stand this bear. Oh, I see lots and lots of big text on this page. I see the mouse with his hands. His body language is open, but I'm looking at his fists and noticing they're clenched. I'm looking at his toes and noticing they're spread really wide and his tail is zigzagged. His arms and legs might be open, but I can tell by his face, he is mad. That's it, I'm done, I do declare. This bear has led me to despair. It's not fair, it's not fair. I'm going now, but I don't know where. I wonder where that bear is going. All of a sudden, he noticed our mouse was gone. Any clues where the mouse went? Any guesses? Oh, looks like the bear finally left the chair. He's going back to his lair. Hey, there's a mouse in my house. So I hope you found this helpful. I challenge you to go and pick out a book this evening and practice with your kid, getting some big attitude and big injections of emotions into your reading. It will help you with talking about emotions later. It will help your kiddos who maybe have some kind of flat affect, who have trouble showing emotion. It's a good, no pressure way to practice and explore and play. I find that role play can be a little bit challenging at times because the spotlight is on you. I know I get nervous when I do role play. Even in therapy with my kids, it makes me a little uncomfortable. But reading a book, I'm just reading the words on the page. Like I don't feel like I'm acting. I'm just telling the story. And even though that kind of leads me to acting out things with my voice and my face, I feel like it's less pressure, at least for me. And I have found that true for my kids as well. So give it a try. Let me know how it goes. If you want to leave us a comment about your favorite book that you've read with the best attitude, I'd love to hear it because we're always looking for new books in our Emerge library. So share, let me know, and happy reading.